All right, welcome in everybody. We give it some time just for everyone to make their way in, and we will go from there. Welcome in, welcome in. Just giving it a few minutes for people to get situated, and we'll get started in just a few. All right, it looks like the wave of people is slowing down, so we'll kind of get things started in the effort of maintaining everyone's time. Welcome in. We're very excited to have you here. My name is Jordan. I'm one of the assistant directors here at Skidmore with the admissions office. Very excited to welcome you all virtually and to give you a little insight into life at Skidmore, what Skidmore is, who we are. I'm joined by two great student panelists. If you don't mind introducing yourselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Katya. I'm currently a rising senior here at Skidmore. I'm a double major in psychology and theater, and I also have a minor in business. I'm really involved in a lot of psychology research on campus, so including right now over the summer. I also work in our on campus writing center, where I'm one of the head tutors. And from my major, you could have gathered that I'm very involved in the theater department, primarily as a director, stage manager, or dramaturg.
Hi, I'm Elena. I'm a rising senior. I'm originally from the San Francisco area in California. I have a double major in English and theater with a minor in film and media studies. On campus, I'm involved in one of the several magazines, Hillel, All Things Jewish Student Life, and the Musical Theater Club. Last semester, I had an internship writing for an online magazine, and this summer, I had an internship with the education department of a local theater company.
Very good, very good. So basically, the way this event or this session will work is we'll kind of give an overview of everything kind of Skidmore related. Feel free to use the Q&A. We'll have some time for questions afterwards if there's anything that kind of comes up as we're going through, and we can kind of pick on those as we see them. And if we don't have time to get to everything, we'll try to write an answer, or definitely feel free to reach out via email as well. But just to kind of get the ball rolling, so Skidmore, where we're located, we're in Saratoga Springs. New York, we're very kind of centrally located within the state. So we're about 3 hours away from New York City. We're 3 hours away from the Canadian border. If you head north, 3 hours away from Boston. So everything's very kind of close by while still being, its own spot. We're also very close within the state to Albany, so it's about 30 minutes away. That's where the airport is. So that's where most people will come into from out of state. But we also have the Amtrak on Saratoga. It's about 10 minutes away. So it's very helpful and very accessible throughout the Capital District. We have a nice connection of public transit through the bus system that's free to students. Students can just swipe their ID card, kind of be on their way with that. That really can connect you as far as you as far as your heart desires, but it does run on campus about every 30 minutes. So it's pretty reliable, really easy access in that regard. Um, Downtown Saratoga is about a 10-15 minute walk from campus. So it's really nice to have that access as well. There's rental bikes that you can take from campus that are free to students. So there's really a lot of ways to get around and to get into Saratoga. Saratoga itself has kind of a really good relationship with Skidmore. We've kind of fostered that over the years, and it's nice to have kind of that connection to the town while we are still kind of our own freestanding entity. But there's a lot going on in Saratoga right now. Is pretty kind of exciting, very popular. We're in the kind of heat of summer, so there's a lot of tourism. And as kind of the semester comes around, it does kind of calm down and go back to a little bit more of a local feel. There's a lot of different restaurants and mom and pop shops and bookstores, a little bit of everything throughout downtown Saratoga. So if you both wouldn't mind talking about some of your favorite parts of Saratoga.
Yeah, so we have some very good coffee shops. I think my favorite one is Uncommon Grounds. It has some very good bagels. You can just like sit down, like do your work, chat with your friends. It's like it's close to campus, like 10 minutes away, like right downtown. So I love going there. We have Congress Park, which is an amazing park, also like right on our Broadway Street, which is like, like also a very nice place to like hang out or like watch like dogs and stuff. So yeah, and also like it's very walkable and bikeable and like a pretty like small but historic town, so it's very nice to just like it's very nice to spend time in town all the time. Yeah.
I'll also say Uncommon Grounds is a great place. I go there at least twice every week. It is also like in the center of town. And another place that I also regularly go to is the Tea and Honey Company. They have like one of my favorite things is the lavender lemonade that they have in the summer, but they also have free honey sampling of like a bunch of different flavored honeys, which is always one of my favorite things to do downtown. We also have a wide range of different restaurants, and like if there's a cuisine you want, there's a very good chance you will be able to have it in downtown. So that's one thing that I really like. And as well as you won't get bored of having the same food all the time because there's so many options.
Great. Yeah, those are all really great spots. And also highlight the Saratoga Performing Arts Center. It's a very great music venue. A lot of people have come through it over the years. And it's also where our students get to graduate. So it's really exciting to kind of see that full circle moment. But kind of focusing in from Saratoga into Skidmore. Skidmore, we are a smaller liberal arts college with about 2,700 students. Our average class size is about 16, and we have an 8-to-1 student to faculty ratio. There's a really kind of close-knit community and a great opportunity to get to know each other, get to know your classmates, your roommates, your professors. It's really nice to have a nice kind of close close community within the campus. As I mentioned, getting to know your professors is a really strong benefit. We have over 40 different majors, but that being said, students come into Skidmore undeclared. So I kind of wanted to touch on one of the first questions we got here. How easy is theater to join for a non-major? It's fairly easy. A lot of theater included, but most kind of departments on campus do encourage students to kind of take take the intro classes, try some things out. It's how a lot of students find what their interests are and decide what their majors are. But other students will find that they just really enjoy a topic and they kind of want to be involved in it without kind of taking it on as their academic load. So as I mentioned, students come in undeclared, and then you have until second semester sophomore year to declare your major. So you have a lot of time to try out those different areas of campus and get involved to your kind of desire. Um, do either of you want to talk about kind of your experience, kind of deciding on your major as you kind of came into Skidmore? Elena, of course, I know you actually both have some really good insight into kind of the theater side as well.
Yeah, I mean, theater major, like specifically, like it's very easy to get involved. A lot of my friends, like, within theater major, have like barely taken any theater classes and are still able to get involved. So, for example, one of my friends is actually a studio art major, but she's very into like costume designing. So, like, the only things that like she's done in the theater department have been like costume related stuff. So, like, but she's taken all the advanced classes and was able to design costumes for our student plays, our even like this past semester, our black box production. One of my other good friends is not a like hasn't even taken any theater classes, but is a very good actor. So she's been able to audition and get into some of our bigger productions as well. So it's very easy like to get involved as a non-major, either like within a specific like I guess like interest that you have within theater, or just like like in general try things out, like be like on the stage crew, like front of house and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of like to be like more specific for that specific question. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I'll say, at least for myself, is that I didn't think I was gonna be a theater major when I came to Skidmore originally. I took the introduction to theater class my very first semester as just something that I was interested in, but not necessarily thinking that I was going to do anything much more than just the intro class. But I took it, fell in love with it, and I continued on to do more. And so that is also an option, or that I know, like I've done, and I know several other people have fallen into the major, the minor as a result. But there are plenty of ways to get involved without having to do a major or a minor. And that goes for most other departments on campus as well.
Great. And a lot of that, you know, comes down to our educational philosophy and really wanting students to try these things out to kind of really enhance all of your passions. Don't feel like you have to leave anything behind. So I would say, that all kind of culminates in the saying that you'll see kind of plastered throughout our messaging, through our website, emails. The idea of creative thought matters. It's really important to Skidmore, and it really is kind of like the central thread for everything. And it really does start right away when you get to campus. The first class that any student will take is the Scribner seminar. That class is a very interdisciplinary, really passion project for the professor, where students get to kind of see not just what it's like to make the transition from high school to college, because that in itself is a big transition, but also, what is it like to be a college student here at Skidmore? These classes, students get kind of a list of 40 or 50 different course sections and descriptions. And they get to rank them. You rank your top 10. Most every student that I've spoken to has gotten within their top three. So you really do get a chance to see kind of like-minded students, students who chose to be in this class. It is capped at that 16, so you get a feel for the average class size. And it really does kind of give you this crash course on being a student at Skidmore, being a college student, and being in a college class. There's a lot that really goes into these Scribner seminars, and they are really foundational for the educational experience here. Do you want to talk about your Scribner seminar experiences?
Sure. So I took a Scribner seminar called Statesmen and Tyrants. It was taught by a political science professor, so I had no interest in like going into political science, but the class itself sounded very interesting because we looked at different political leaders from the past and kind of like how they ruled their countries and whether like their actions could be classified as tyrannical or benevolent. So it was really cool. It was, yeah, like very interdisciplinary between political science, history, and philosophy, and I greatly enjoyed it. Definitely helped me with like learn college writing, or just like general academic and social skills, kind of like that were important for me throughout like my college life so far. And also I've met one of my best friends through that Scrivener seminar. So it's very great class, a great introduction to college.
My Scribner seminar was called Queer Performance and the AIDS Epidemic. It was taught by a theater professor, and it was like a very interdisciplinary class. Like we touched on the history of the AIDS epidemic and how it affected the theater industry. And we did a lot of like literary analysis, and we watched musicals and films that were related to what we were learning in class, and we were analyzing films and other pieces of media. We also took a field trip to our on-campus teaching museum. So it was like it was like with an art focus of the class as well. So it was very interdisciplinary. And that class like helped me figure out more of what I wanted to do on campus. It helped me decide to do a theater major. It kind of led me into my film and media studies minor. So it was so like at least for me, it did help me figure out more of what I wanted to do on campus.
Great, great. Yeah, so as I mentioned, that Scrivener seminar really does set the pace and really does help students kind of get the ball rolling, kind of whether it's, kind of reinforcing what they've already decided they were going to kind of be interested in, or if it's discovering some of those. Um, Someone did ask in the Q&A if Skidmore has an open curriculum. So our curriculum is kind of centered around these 10 requirements. So the Scrivener seminar is one of them. Another is the Bridge Experience. That's a class that studies how power and justice have kind of shaped the experiences of people within the United States. And then you have the Senior Experience, which is kind of dependent on your major, kind of your big capstone, whether it be a project or paper, kind of varies. And the other requirements are a writing requirement, a quantitative reasoning course, which a lot of us just refer to as, that's your numbers course, your math course that you would think of. There's a global cultural perspectives requirement, a language study, and then we have what we call the inquiries. There's an artistic inquiry, a humanistic, and a scientific inquiry. And so those kind of sound like a lot, but really a lot of those kind of overlap, and you'd be able to kind of check a lot of those off. Um, just by nature of taking classes you're interested in. And it would basically say if you were to just take your classes you're interested in, by the end of your sophomore year, you'll likely have completed 8 out of those 10, which is, just a testament to the flexibility of everything. And about 75% of students either double major or major and minor. As you see between Elena and Katya, we have kind of a lot of that experience as well. So it's really, really not just easy to do, but also highly encouraged on campus. And it's very hard to find students who aren't doing multiple things, wearing multiple hats on campus. So it is nice to have kind of the ability and the accessibility to make those majors and minors work together. And a lot of those will also kind of satisfy those 10 requirements that I mentioned as well. But there is more than just academics to Skidmore. We are also very heavily invested in our community here. So we have over 120 different student organizations on campus. We do not have any Greek life, so there's no traditional fraternities and sororities, which really does help our organizations thrive. It really creates this campus environment of inclusivity and just open doors for most of the events. It's really they're all, kind of as cliche as it sounds, you get out what you put into them. There's no kind of forced committal, there's no forced ranking, seniors get preference or anything of that nature. It's really open to everyone, and the clubs are something that a lot of students come to Skidmore for, and we have a club for just about every interest. And if there isn't a club for your interest, you're really encouraged to kind of create clubs. Sometimes students find that they're revamping a club that was once on campus, and other times students are coming up with something brand new that they can kind of leave behind after their time here. But do you all want to talk about your involvements on campus?
Yeah, so for me, I was very, very involved in clubs. in my first couple of years here. So I would say last year I kind of stepped back just like to focus more on like academics or like my job on campus and just like different like leadership responsibilities. But yeah, but like I still love going just like attending different events. Like we have so many events where like people can just like come and participate, like like performances, crafts nights, yeah, and so on. So like and something is happening like virtually every single day. So it's very very easy to get involved, very easy to like learn about those events through like posters, social media, and so on. So yeah, definitely a very vibrant campus.
Yeah, so like every September we have a big club fair that's like outside in our main central area where like people you can go and sign up for as many or as few clubs as you want. People who are part of clubs are like super involved in one specific club will be like screaming at you to join their club, bribing you with candy, playing music. It's a very like fun, lively event. And you can go to as many of the club events as you want. I've seen people come and go. Like certain people show up once or twice, some are like there more regularly, but it's how I met the majority of my friends on campus.
Right, yeah, and just a strong testament to that. It doesn't really matter why you're going to any given event, whether you're somebody who's very dedicated and you go to every single kind of event that they put on and all of the meetings, or you're somebody who just found out that they had free food today, so you decided to come by. Both of those are very valid reasons, and it may be the reason that you come back next time around. But the clubs are really foundational. It really helps kind of create that community. As I mentioned, we're a very close knit campus. Everything is very walkable within campus. But the other aspect to the kind of community piece is that living on campus. So a large majority of students, over 90%, do live on campus. And that is, due to it being that kind of close knit community and that walkable access, but also, housing is guaranteed for all 4 years, which is really nice to have. And students just really kind of enjoy being kind of fully immersed in the campus community. So the way that housing works at Skidmore, we have kind of a few different situations. So in your first year, you're not able to choose a roommate. All roommates are assigned randomly. This something that it's kind of gone back and forth, between students and administration. And a few years ago, they did allow students to choose their roommates. They actually found that more students requested transfers from different rooms in that year. So it really does kind of show a testament to how the random assignments works for that first year. So students receive a questionnaire that asks things like, how late you like to stay up and how early you like to go to bed, how loud or quiet, just all the general kind of living expectations. And those kind of all get put together, and that's how the roommate assignments are determined. Most first year students will live in a triple. So that's the most common situation. And then for your sophomore year, students are able to choose their roommates because they've kind of got that experience. And so most students will choose to live in a double or a single, kind of depending on their own desires. But we actually this past year had more sophomores choosing to remain in their triples with their roommates than ever before. So that really is a testament to the random assignments working out. The junior and senior year students have access to the on-campus apartments. These are really nice apartments. They're 3, 4, or 5 person apartments. Each person has their own bedroom. There's a shared kitchen, shared living space. So it is a little bit more of that independent feel while still having close access to Skidmore resources and being able to call facilities when something doesn't work, things of that nature. But it is still an all around really great kind of way to be on campus and still kind of get that independence. But do you all want to talk about your experience living on campus?
Yeah, Yeah, so my journey has been, I would say, pretty typical to what you outlined. So my freshman year, I was in a triple. I was very well matched with my roommates, so like we barely had any problems throughout the year. And then our sophomore years always want to be in singles, so like that's what we got it. It was pretty easy to get because again, like so many people like want to be in singles, but so many other people like want to like live with roommates into their sophomore year. So it's kind of like there's space for all of that. And then for yeah, last year and this upcoming year, I'm in the apartments with like three other people. So it's pretty typical. It's been super nice, and again, like it's like the residential life really kind of like caters to like your needs and kind of like what you want. So like there's, for example, like medical accommodation housing, or like yeah, there are special interest communities as well. For example, like for people who want to like be on just like all women's floor, like substance free housing, or there's a whole dorm that's dedicated to sustainability, for example, here. All of that is like super accessible to students.
Yeah, I had roughly the same housing journey as what Katya said. In freshman year, I was in a triple, but I did special interest housing, which I highly recommend if you're somebody who's interested in that. It was definitely like great for me because like I was living with a bunch of people who wanted to live in that within that community. And so that like the majority of the people that I was friends with freshman year were people that that lived with me and lived on my floor. And I got along really well with my roommates. We were hanging out with the same people. And it was definitely a great community space, a great way to get to know other people. And then sophomore year, I lived in a single. And then my junior year, I was in a four-person apartment on campus.
Right. I had the whole experience there, so that's great. And another aspect to kind of living on campus is the food on campus. The food on campus is something that's very important and very popular. Um, I personally would say it is some of the best college food that I've had. They are highly ranked. This past year, they were rated number 7 in the country, and I believe they were number 2 in New York State behind the Culinary Institute of America. So they've got a lot of really strong kind of praise in their corner. But beyond just the quality, they also do a great job of making sure all of the food on campus is accessible. So students are always able to find something that matches their own dietary needs or allergies or kind of anything. The dining staff does a great job of rotating the menus and making sure you're not always kind of eating the same thing. There's a lot going on. They try to keep things fun as well, as fun as dining on campus can be. The dining hall is another kind of plus that is kind of in the favor of students that are choosing to live on campus. You have that kind of close by access to a really great kind of menu of food. So it's great to have that as well. I wanted to touch on a couple of these questions as they're coming in. So we have one that's asking about opportunities for internships or study abroad. I think that's two very important things that I love to talk about. So we have two great offices that kind of cover those areas. We have the off-campus and study exchange. They do a great job of providing students with access to study abroad programs. I believe we have over 100 different programs. And students have complete and total access to them. So any student can study abroad if they want to. There's no like major restrictions, just a matter of working with your advisor to kind of find what fits you and fits your schedule as far as what you're looking for in study abroad and things of that nature. And they offer that to all students. They're a great resource for students. There's also the option for students who maybe don't want to take a full semester abroad. We have these things called travel seminars. So students will spend a semester studying a course about an area, and then they will take the time after they've completed that course to travel to that area. One that sticks out is our president, Mark Connor, does one on Ireland, and then he travels with students for 2 weeks to Ireland. So it's a very exciting and fun time for students to get involved with that. And then we also have a very unique first semester abroad program, and that's our first semester in London. So students will spend their first semester in London with a cohort of about 30 students and two Skidmore professors. And they get to just start off kind of right there in London. And then in the spring, they'll transition back. And many of those students do end up studying abroad again. And something that's really nice about kind of the study abroad and the different programs that they offer is that it is kind of like you're just a Skidmore student, but abroad. So you have kind of all the same access to resources. Your financial aid stays the same. It's as if you are still a Skidmore student in person. You just happen to be elsewhere. Um, and then as far as internships, our Center for Career Development. They do a great job um, providing students with access to internships, resume help, job interview, job search, kind of all things in that nature. So there's a lot of opportunities for those internships. There's opportunities to intern with local areas, things that are going on kind of nearby campus and nearby Skidmore. Those are also options for internships. So there's a lot of opportunities both within the Skidmore community and the Saratoga and Greater New York community as well. Do either of you have anything to add about internships and study abroad in that nature?
I mean, the Career Development Center is definitely like very great for that, but also I would say your advisors are there for you. Like they're, for example, like I would say like the most common thing I talk about with like both of my theater and my psychology advisors are either kind of like my plans like for like professional development or like grad school and so on because those people are there to support you as well. So it's very kind of like easy to get involved, get like all the information you need. Your study abroad is also kind of like supported very well academically, so you kind of like work with your advisors to see like like what classes you'll be taking abroad, what class you'll be taking once you're back here to kind of like still like be able to like do a double major even though you're going abroad and might be taking like kind of like different classes. So yeah, super widespread. Like I would say like over half students like go abroad, and like the majority of students would do like at least one internship here over like their time at Skidmore. So yeah, definitely like both very well developed opportunities at Skidmore.
Yeah, I will also add that the Career Development Center is great for getting help looking for internships and jobs, but your academic advisors can also be able to help you with that. My advisor for my theater major helped me secure my internship for this summer just because of like some of the connections that she has with like local theater companies. She was able to help me like figure out like help me find local internships that I could have in the industry. So there is that help from your advisors as well, but also the Career Development Center is a great resource. I highly recommend using it.
Right, right. And kind of diving deeper into campus, as I mentioned, there's a lot of events that go on campus, but there's really a strong sense of tradition on campus. And, there's a lot that happens in any given academic year. So there's a lot to kind of look forward to. But traditions are really important here at Skidmore. It's what kind of ties everyone together and brings everyone together, both students who are close to campus and students who may be a little further away. Do you both want to kind of highlight what some of your favorite traditions are here at Skidmore or even within Saratoga further?
Uh, I mean, at Skidmore, I love Skidmania. It's our annual concert that happens towards the end of each November. Basically, it celebrates music from 50 years ago. So last year was a bunch of songs from 1974. The music department and our music center kind of like got together and organized that event. So it was a lot of music students, faculty, performing solos and duets, but then like 30 people numbers of like all variety of like a big variety of songs from that year. It's a very popular event, both like among other our students, but also just like people from the town of Saratoga Springs. It gets sold out immediately for like both nights. It's super fun. Yeah, so I think that's definitely my favorite.
I would say my favorite event on campus is it's called Earth Day. It's an afternoon like concert series lineup that's always super fun. It's a big day of like celebrating and promoting sustainability on campus. Students get to sell the artwork that they make. And there's like a lot of like games and there's a rock climbing tower. It's a lot of fun and one of my favorite events on campus.
Right. Yeah, there really is a lot kind of going on campus. As I mentioned, we have about 2,700 students. In any given academic year, we may have over 3,000 events. So there's really a lot going on. You can't really attend everything, even if you tried. So you really don't have to worry about, not having something to do. It's really a matter of just finding what it is that you're interested in and diving into that kind of deeper. And you may find that there are a lot of different things that you're passionate about, and that's great. That's a great kind of situation to have. So highly encourage you to check out kind of all the events that are going on in any given day, any given week. And you can really get involved with as much or as little as you'd like to. Something that I haven't touched on is our athletics. We are a Division III school. So we do compete in the Liberty League. We have 19 varsity sports. We also have a variety of club and intramural sports as well. So much like everything else that we've touched on, it really does kind of meet you where you are and give you that opportunity to get as involved as you'd like to, or kind of take a back seat and kind of relax a bit. Both are kind of great options depending on your own interests. But I have another question for both of the panelists. What's been your favorite class here at Skidmore, and what's kind of made that class stand out?
Oh, I love this question. I think my favorite class was the class I took last fall within the theater department. It was basically advanced directing, so directing is kind of like my main thing that I do within the theater major, and that was like the class with like all of the students who were like on that advanced level at that point. So it was only seven of us and the professor, so like super tight knit like for the whole semester. We met like 4 hours a week, so like really that time to like get to know one another. Like it did end up being like a big friend group towards the end of the semester, but also like it was just like such a kind of like specific, strong and deep dive into directing, with like a class of full of like-minded people, that like it was not just like a class but like a whole community. Definitely like would not is not something that I would like think of as like even a possibility of being a class when I was in high school, but at Skidmore like those experiences are pretty common. So I would say that was my favorite class.
I would say one of my favorite classes I took it last semester. It was called Transnational Lit and Culture. We were basically studying Asian diasporic literature and its history. And like we read several novels and graphic novels that studied like Asian diaspora, and we did like a lot of research. And for the class, our final essay was like a big research paper, where we had to compare two of the texts, like two of the novels or graphic novels that we read in class, and do a bunch of research and bring some of that into our paper. So I really appreciated that it combined the traditional literary studies class with some of the like more research focused areas of study. So I really enjoyed that class for the.
Great, great. Two very interesting classes. Every time I ask that question, it makes me wish that I was taking some of those classes. Right. We're waiting on some more to come in. But I really, wanted to focus in as well on kind of both of your experiences, because at one point, you were kind of on the other side of this conversation, kind of comparing and figuring out where you were hoping to get into and go to. So what really made Skidmore stand out as far as what you're looking for, or what you maybe didn't even know you were looking for? What made Skidmore kind of your home before you even got here?
Yeah, I mean, like when I was when I was looking at colleges, I already knew that I wanted to be a psychology major. I knew for sure that I would add like second major minor as well. So I was looking at like places with both a strong psychology program, but also like that like we're open to like having students do more than just one thing. So Skidmore was that's kind of like how Skidmore ended up on my initial list, and then obviously it became my top choice because of like a great location, a very nice campus. If you have an opportunity to visit, definitely do it. It's so pretty and like so great to way to get a feel for campus. But then like what ended up sealing the deal for me once I already like got all my acceptance offers back was the financial aid. Like it's truly outstanding at Skidmore. Like they really work with you to accommodate all your needs. They're very understanding because especially for me that year like my like family situation like rapidly changed, so like there was a lot of communications between colleges regarding my financial aid, and Skidmore was like very well very helpful and welcoming in that regard, and I ended up like making my decision and not regretting it ever since.
Yeah, for me, I always knew I was going to be an English major or at least heavily involved with the English department. And Skidmore had a very standout English department to me with a lot of like classes that sounded super fun and interesting, and the faculty in the department are always they've always been great, and I've loved taking the classes at Skidmore. I've also really appreciated the like when I was looking for colleges, I wanted a very club-centered social scene, and I saw that present so heavily at Skidmore. And then I got here and I saw even more of that. So those are just two things that I definitely was like wanted out of a college, on top of having like going to a college that wanted students to not just get involved in one area of study, but to pursue multiple fields of study at the same time, and a lot of people taking that advantage. And so I really wanted a place like that.
Right, great. Another one I see is how can students get involved in research on campus, both during the school year and over the summer? And I will say before I pass it on to you all, is students are able to get involved in research very early on. You can get involved as early as your second semester, first year, so you can finish with 3.5 years of research experience. And a lot of times students are finishing having a published paper and maybe multiple, which is really great to have kind of rolling into the kind of next phase of your life. But either of you want to touch on kind of the how to get involved and how easy it is, whatnot.
Yeah, so I mean, I within psychology major, I've been doing research for 3 years. I started my sophomore fall. Yeah, very easy to get involved, especially like those larger departments. They, have like research fairs where you can just like walk around for like the entire afternoon and just like chat with professors, like get to know different research labs and so on. And for smaller departments, usually professors just like would like announce like what they're doing like in the class they're teaching, or you can just like show up at their office and like hey being like hey like I'm interested in like what you're doing, like what can I join as a research assistant. So very easy to get involved. I would say like about 20% of our students are involved in research, so that's pretty much like as many as want to be involved in research, so, especially so like very popular within STEM but also like outside of STEM. Research is present at Skidmore, and then summer research is great. So we have 5 or 10 week programs over the summer. So this summer I did a 5 week program. It's super great because I got fully sponsored, so like my meals were covered, my housing was covered, and on top of that I got paid as a regular job for doing research. It was a great experience. I think this summer like 124 students were involved in research, fully sponsored research during the summer. So definitely very easy opportunity to come by. And yeah, and then after that, a lot of students feel prepared for graduate school. A lot of like senior thesis within research is already like focusing on doing an independent research project. So yeah, there's really an abundance of research opportunities here.
Yeah, I will also say I've had a lot of professors who like whenever they whenever they come across an opportunity that they think students in their class would enjoy or would want to take it like to pursue further, they will send an email to the class or they'll send it to the department, and like say, hey, this is an opportunity. Reach out to this person or to me if you're interested in knowing more about it. So there's definitely a lot of people on campus who will make opportunities more accessible to you that way.
Just to kind of wrap that up, it's another question that came in while you both were talking about how competitive are these research positions, and how do you kind of feel it's been kind of going about getting them? Do you feel like there's not enough opportunities? Do you feel like everyone's very cutthroat? How do you feel the competitive side of the research positions is?
Um, I mean, I would say it's not like as long as you're a good student, like it's pretty easy to get those positions. Like I was able to get into like my current lab like without like even having like met the professor because he was on sabbatical that semester. But like he just like was able to see like my GPA, like my classes that I had taken by that point, and like basically like, made the decision just based off that. So if you're a good student, like the professors will like pretty much like want to like snatch you up and like be in your kind of like have them as your as their research assistant. So like kind of like being in good academic standing usually is like the only requirement that's like really needed. But I mean, like that would make sense because if you're not in a good academic standing, like doing research on top of classwork might not be like the best idea for you like that semester. So some people enter research like later on, like once they've kind of established themselves within college life. And academics. So yeah, and otherwise, yeah, as I mentioned, like this like usually 20% of our students are involved in research. So that's a very large number because like you need to remember that a lot of students are not looking for research opportunities, especially within humanities. Yeah, but like for STEM students, like I would say it's a good like half at the very least who are involved in research. And then yeah, like in general, I wouldn't say it's competitive at all.
Yeah, I will also say that like even getting involved in leadership as part of a club is fairly easy and accessible. So like, and it's also not like the most competitive thing either. So you can also, there are plenty of ways to easily get involved in leadership roles or more actively other ways on campus that are not just necessarily academics, while there are also academic ways to get involved. So it really depends on what you want and how much you want to do inside the classroom versus outside of the classroom. So that can also help shape like what you want to do with your semester, things like that. Like I've been on part of leadership. I've been the treasurer of like several different clubs on campus already, and and it's been a nice addition to the classes that I've been taking, and it was super easy to get involved that way. So like there are definitely plenty of opportunities to get involved inside and outside of the classroom.
Great, all great insights. So another question that came in is how active and supportive is Skidmore's alumni network? I definitely, highlight how often Skidmore's alumni come back to campus. A lot of alumni do stay fairly local to Saratoga, and so they're able to kind of tap into students for upcoming positions that they have, or internships, opportunities, things of that nature. Again, the Career Development Center does a great job of bringing those alumni to campus and really connecting them with the students that make the most sense. So the alumni network is very strong, very supportive. There are always seems as though there are always a few alumni on campus at any given moment. So it's really nice to have that support of a strong alumni base. I don't know if either of you have experience with the alumni coming to campus or have anything more to add there.
I mean, just like thinking of like theater department, it's incredibly alumni related. So we have had like several events where like we would invite alums to like our like classroom discussions, or just like to our like big theater company meeting, to like just talk about their experiences in the professional world. A lot of actually professors within the theater department, but also like in general at Skidmore, are Skidmore alums. So like they just like love the college so much, and after like being out in the world, like working professionally, getting like grad school, getting through grad school, they come back to Skidmore and teach, which is also pretty cool. So yeah, I would say like it's definitely like like I feel that like I can reach out to people who like are Skidmore alums, and like be able to talk to them about career and whatnot. So yeah.
Yeah, I will also say that some of our alumni do come back to teach full time, but others do come back as like visiting lectures or visiting artists in residence. Like last year, in the theater department, we had one of our alumni came for the full year to just like be a visiting lecturer in directing, and was like on campus and like networking with students and available to like answer any questions about like what it's like to do theater outside of Skidmore, so things like that. So, and like alumni regularly do come back to campus. So, it's there's plenty of opportunities to meet them and to network that way.
Great, great. All right. So one last question to kind of wrap it all up. I want you both to kind of think back. I know it's been quite a little bit of time. But what's a piece of advice that you would give somebody on the other side of the screen that's kind of in the moment, really researching their colleges and getting ready to kind of gear up for that application cycle, or just starting out that college search and figuring it all out? What's a piece of advice you would give somebody in these positions?
Um, I would say that like definitely kind of like stay open, like don't worry if like you're like don't know exactly what you want to study, but also don't feel like that, like yeah, like in general that you have to like know exactly the major you want to do, like exactly like everything like about your college life, because chances are you'll change your mind like 100 times coming into college. So just like stay open, kind of like don't be afraid to like explore different interests. Don't discard any majors because they might seem like non-professional enough. So like for example, like I didn't like realize I want to like major in theater also, Elena, until coming here, and then I realized like so many of my current skills right now, organizational, people skills, creative skills, and so on, came because I decided to be a theater major, even though some people might have like negative stereotypes about creative majors and stuff. So yeah, just like definitely stay open, and just like enjoy the journey, and don't feel pressure to have anything figured out like right now, especially if you are looking at those liberal arts colleges that are basically built around like students not knowing their entire life plan at the age of 17, 18. So yeah.
Yeah, one piece of advice that was given to me was when you're going to pick out your course list, especially in your very first year, like look at what's like available to you, and look at what like are like the more popular majors and departments on campus, and considered taking classes in that. That's how I found my theater major. When I was picking my classes for Skidmore, I was thinking, what are some of Skidmore's best or like most popular majors? And theater came across my mind first. And I was like, well, Skidmore, I know is good with theater, so I'm gonna take one of their classes just to like, get a little bit into what Skidmore is really good at. And that led me to one of my majors. So like I want to pass that piece of information forward to all of you.
Great. That's excellent advice. And I would also just, encourage you all to continue to, research. It's never too early or too late. There really is, no wrong time to be planning for the future. So definitely continue that and continue to be true to yourself. It's ultimately your journey, and that's really important. It's important that you enjoy your journey because you're the one that has to go through it. That'll kind of wrap things up for us. I know, of course, we aren't able to get to every single question that you can feel free to send us any emails. I'll send the admissions email here in the chat. It's just admissions at skidmore.edu. Feel free to reach out there. And we love to hear from you. And keep an eye out for any future events that we have going on, both virtual and in person. We'd love to have you on campus and give you a chance to kind of see everything that we're talking about in real time. But thank you both, Katya and Elena. And unless you have any closing words, I think we'll leave it there. All right. Thank you all for joining us and have a great rest of your week.